Hello everybody, I am Jarrett Ross, the GeneaVlogger, and welcome back to another Professional Genealogist Reacts. On today's video, I'll be reacting to Finding Kamau Bell Episode 3 from CNN and Ancestry. The first two episodes were really great. The episodes have been really short, just like 10 minutes and 9 minutes, and then this one's going to be just under 8 minutes. It's pretty much kind of like Who Do You Think You Are? It's following Kamau Bell, who's a comedian and host of United Shades of America. And it's following him and his parents as they research into their family history. There's been a little bit of DNA involved. In the first episode, they went over his genetic admixture, his ethnicity admixture, and then talked a little bit about his family genealogy. In the second episode, he and his mom went to the church that his mom's family had helped found and learned a bit more about that family, the names of some of those ancestors. They ended up naming all 8 of his mother's great-grandparents, so all of his maternal great-great-grandparents. And they even found the grave of his great-grandfather, so his mom's grandfather. So it's been really interesting. One of the things they showed in the first episode was both of his parents also doing a DNA test. And so I'm expecting it's going to be in this episode, so I'm really curious to see what they're going to go into about that. I'm really hopeful that maybe they're going to bring a little bit more genetic genealogy into the mix, or talk a little bit more in depth about it. But I imagine probably not a whole lot, being that this is only 8 minutes long. But yeah, there's just a whole lot I'm really hoping for this video. But so far, this whole series has been great. But before we do jump into this video, please be sure to give this a thumbs up. It really does help me out. Also, be sure to subscribe and click that bell for notifications on future videos. I will be posting a lot of videos early on my Patreon, so if you'd like early access, just become a patron, which helps me out, and then you get early access plus other extra features as well. But now, with all of that said, let's just go ahead and jump right into the video.
Typically, the final movie in a trilogy is a bit of a letdown. I'm looking at you, Matrix 3. But this story's conclusion even impressed my dad.
Really?
Yep, that's how my dad expresses being impressed. Admittedly, he could learn some things from my mom about how to be amazed.
Wow. 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 Wow.
We begin in Monroe County, Alabama. Monroe County is the birthplace of two things. Harper Lee, the author of the classic book To Kill a Mockingbird, was born in Monroeville, and my dad was born not that far away in Vredenburg. Well, today we are headed to the courthouse that was the model for the one that was used in the movie based on the book.
When we last spoke, you remember we were talking about Reason McCants.
Reason McCants, yes.
Reason McCants. Every time I've heard his name since I first heard it in Berkeley, I think of Earth, Wind, and Fire's Reasons. Reason is my great-great-grandfather, and he's got a great name.
We found this really amazing record. This might take a little squinting on it, but this is a voter registration form. You can find Reason's name. The last name is very hard to read.
There it is.
Hold on. Let's go full CSI here. Enhance. There we go. Physical proof that my great-great-grandfather was registered to vote in Alabama just 2 years after the Civil War ended. Damn. My dad's reaction pretty much sums it all up.
No reason.
So we dug a little deeper, and there was an election where Gillette was suing his opponent, Herndon, because they wanted to find out if there were any problems with the voting.
Voting irregularity. I can't even imagine.
With the timing of this video being from 2018 and me watching it now, that's just too funny.
They brought people to put together depositions about how they voted. And so we decided to go see if we could find some information about that. And we found a deposition in the court records.
Oh, that's so cool.
This is the court case of Gillette versus Herndon.
Deposition to the United States Congress court case. Reason McCants.
Okay, so it turns out that the Republican candidate, Gillette, was the candidate of choice for African Americans. But mysteriously in this race, the Republican received no votes in the area. And this document shows that Reason publicly testified that he witnessed people voting the Republican ticket. Go on, Reason.
Wow. That had to be intimidating to be deposed.
And here's a guy who was willing to step up.
Yeah.
And registered to vote.
Registered to vote. And an activist. So Reason McCants was a go-getter.
I think so.
Yeah.
Kind of makes me wish that I was having a boy so I could bring that name Reason back. Reason could be a girl's name. That's true. Yeah.
Meet my daughter, Reason Bell. For our next stop, we head to Fredensburg, Alabama, where my dad's family lived for generations. It's also the location of one of our family's oldest stories. We've always believed that a slave owner by the name of Dockery owned my great-great-grandmother, Frances Bell. It just made sense considering the times in their relationship. They had 13 children. Wow. And that is where the Bell family name came from. But back in Berkeley, Jennifer dropped this on us.
It's very clear that Carol at no point owned Frances.
That's okay.
As far as we can tell, it looks like he never was a slave owner of any kind.
Oh, really?
I wonder if Francis was free at that point.
Really? He was just some dude?
And now in trademark Ancestry fashion, she's got some more tricks up her sleeve.
So we'll start here. This is the 1870 census. 1870 is the first time that all African Americans are listed by name in the census records. So we've got C.J. Dockery there.
Frances Bell.
Each of these markings here is showing the households. So here in 1870, they are living together in the same household.
Really?
Remember what I said earlier? My dad's really is the equivalent of my mom's wow. So I'm pretty sure his mind is blown. Not only was CJ not Francis's owner, but it turns out they were living together in the same house.
I just thought it was one of those midnight sneaks.
C.J. Dockery died with nothing. He had considerable debts, and so a lot of his land had to be sold off in order to pay those debts. It'd be nice if you had a piece of paper that proved that Francis bought the land from him.
For and in consideration of the sum of $200 paid by
Frances Bell.
Great job.
Thank you.
So he didn't say that to me until I got my second television show. So that's a big deal.
Thank you.
It's a
Big deal.
You're invited to family reunions now.
So this land is down the road, and we wanted to go there, but we were afraid we might get stuck. So while we can't go there, we have something that can go there so that we can take a look at it.
Okay. All right. That's the land.
Yeah.
Frances Bell's land.
This land is about a mile from the road we came in on. That $200 purchase is a legacy that endures today. Francis's land, plus some of the surrounding area, remain in the Bell family.
Wow.
Let me be clear. Me and my dad don't personally own any of it, but it is still owned by members of our family. Pretty neat. Our last stop on our
meet up
land
with them?
is a place I'm becoming very familiar with, the Bell Family Cemetery.
When we started this, I think I was really focused on the DNA percentages, like what percentage of this am I, what percentage of this am I, because it's a way to sort of like think about the kids and how, so they can know literally where they come from, their DNA. But hanging out with my mom in Tennessee and hanging out with you here, it's like, this is the part that the older people care about. Like, this is like, who are these people, you know?
Yeah,
To me, that's the most interesting part, is who were the people. You know, everyone does the ethnicity admixtures and they go on and on about it, but then it's like, if you go and you find out the actual stories of your ancestors, because everyone knows the history for the most part. So when you go and find out how that history affected your ancestors, how they reacted to it, how it shaped your life, you know, why your family might have been living in a certain area, whereas they wouldn't have if something else hadn't happened, and just finding the actual stories is just so great. It really is.
You know?
yeah, I'm very pleased to understand Frances and their relationship that she had with Carol. We've always called him Dockery, and that the relationship that he and Frances had was consensual. To have the deed, so to speak, of a land sale transaction, and it's quite a piece of history.
Last time I was here with my dad, I wondered why our last name wasn't Dockery. We thought it was because CJ had a family of his own and didn't want to give his name to the people he had enslaved. But apparently, we were way off. CJ didn't own any enslaved Africans when he met Frances, and they lived together as best they could as family, even though they weren't married, kind of like my parents weren't married. And they were of two different races, kind of like me and Melissa are. I'm happy I did this. Not so much for me, but so I can tell my kids where they come from. And it was incredible to see how happy my parents were to find out more information about our family. But if I'm honest, the thing that makes me the most happy about all this is that Ancestry's invite for me to do this gave me this rare moment right here. I guess I did this for good. Thanks, Ancestry. See you all next week on Finding Kamau. Wait, we're done? Dang it.
Wait, but what about the parents doing the DNA test? I thought the parents did a DNA test in the first episode. They showed that as something coming up. I guess maybe they just didn't show any of the results, or just, they just waited for the DNA results to come back and just decided not to use it. I don't know. That's a shame. I was kind of looking forward to that. But either way, I mean, that was still a great episode. This really does have a who do you think you are sort of feel to it, for anyone who's seen a lot of genealogy shows. Basically the person going to all the different places and learning about their family. This was really cool, being able to see how, the nuances of history are, a lot more than what people expect. A lot of people kind of just think, oh, well, if I'm African American and I have a white ancestor, they probably were a slave owner, but here it goes to show that not always the case. It's the reason why that's, assumed is because that was the case for a lot of different people. But, the true nuances of history and how people interacted with each other doesn't always fit the overall narrative that people think of those times. I really, really enjoyed this. I really kind of hope that there's other versions of this out there. This was from CNN, so I'll have to see if they did more of these. I know that there was one that I saw with John Berman. One thing that I really did enjoy about these episodes was the humor that Kamau put into the episode, where it went along with the story, and it was pretty funny, but it kept it lighthearted enough to still put an emphasis on the actual story of his ancestors and going through and researching this. It was really cool of them too, how Ancestry had printed out the nice versions of the 1870 census. They'd printed out the deed showing Francis Bell buying that land. A lot of stuff that, a lot of people will see online, but, when you can kind of see a printed version of it, it's really cool. I don't know why. Every time I see a printed version of some sort of family document, it just kind of makes it feel a bit more official than just looking at it on a screen. Thank you so much for checking out this video. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, please be sure to give it a thumbs up. You can also click right about here if you'd like to subscribe. It's completely free to do so. You can also follow me on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram at GeneaVlogger. I'm the GeneaVlogger. See you in my next video.